Hey everybody, Rev here. I'm the host and GM of the Critshow, a weekly actual play podcast where we play Monster of the Week, Dungeon World, and other Powered by the Apocalypse games, all in one dimension-hopping connected story. If you're already a listener, welcome back. And if you've not heard of us and you enjoy what you hear today, you can find us at thecritshowpodcast.com or wherever you listen to podcasts. Today, we're here to play through one of the latest games from Evil Hat Productions, Band of Blades, designed and written by Stras Acimovic and John LeBoeuf-Little, edited by Karen Twelves, published by Off Guard Games and Evil Hat Productions. We were fortunate enough to have John join us and take us through each step of the game as he GMs our session. So sit back, relax, and enjoy as we play through Band of Blades. So, John, can you tell us a little bit about the game?
Absolutely. So, Band of Blades is a game where you play a group of legionnaires that have recently attempted to fight off an army of undead and have failed. And you are now on the run, trying to seek refuge in Skydagger Keep. Unfortunately, the distance between you and Skydagger Keep is not small. You are traveling eastward across the country of Aldermark, hoping to get there before the undead catch you. We play the Band of Legionnaires. We also sometimes play the generals of the Legion, making difficult decisions about what missions to go on and what little of your resources to spend. But sometimes we're also playing in the trenches with the actual soldiers themselves.
Excellent. So we get to do a little bit of leadership and a little bit of kind of grunt work in the field.
Yeah. It is a dark military fantasy. So you have, obviously you have undead who are pursuing you. There are various alchemical fantasies, as it were, potions and clockwork machines and other sorts of things like that can also flavor your adventures.
So what's the game system that this uses, or the dice system rather?
Yes, so this is all based on, it's called a Forged in the Dark game. It's all based on a game called Blades in the Dark, made by John Harbour. It is essentially based on D6s. You roll a pool of D6s, you select the highest D6, and that becomes your result. Based on your position and effect, you get certain things that happen as a result of your roll. So you have a selection of actions that you're going to use there. It's all based on Blades in the Dark, which is also a really cool game.
Excellent. And around the table here on this side, so that everybody listening as we play through knows the voices that they're hearing.
Hi, I'm Tass.
Hello, I'm Tej.
Hi, I am Jake.
And again, I am Rev. Well, I think that we are ready to go.
Cool. So you all have created Legionnaires and are tasked with a mission. I'm going to read that mission to you, and we'll just get started. So with the crafting, Blackshot, I should also mention, with the crafting of Blackshot, which is a alchemical material that allows you to kill undead very well. The undead armies had been held at a standstill in the Western Kingdoms. That changed at the Battle of Etmark Fields. That was the battle that you guys are retreating from. Now, the Legion has been shattered, and the Cinder King's troops march east, bolstered with heretofore unseen horrors to fight humanity. You and your squad must secure a retreat for your comrades. To make it worse, your chosen, Shreya, which I'll talk about in a moment, has gone off on her own mission and left you to make do without her. Your chosen is one of the reasons why you're not completely obliterated from your abject failure on the Western Front. The chosen is a manifestation of a god that has been infused into a human body. Shreya used to be a Barton war general, but is now the chosen of Azrika, the Barton goddess of healing and mercy. But she is currently MIA, doing her own thing. The Legion has marched across the Huzelbrook Bridge, the only easy passage over the Tigria River, for miles. But the undead are ceaseless in their advance. Your mission is to blow the bridge with alchemical charges. The enemy must be delayed if the Legion is to gain enough time to advance and set up a defensive position closer to the mountains. Can you stay alive long enough to blow the bridge? Who, if anyone, will make it back to camp? And how will you deal with the advance forces the Broken have sent to stop you? We're going to play to find out.
Excellent. We all perked up when you were like, below the bridge.
Yeah.
Everyone at the table went, yes.
Let's do it. Okay, so now we're going to create characters. You have a number of specialists that are at your disposal that you can select from. So your specialist options are the Heavy, who is a heavy frontline fighter who is heavily armored and usually gets into combat with melee. The Medic, who is very educated and is able to patch people up during the adventure. The Officer, who is an excellent interpersonal skills and the ability to position people where they need to be of great effect. The Scout, who is always able to range forward and see what's going on. And the Sniper, who can dispatch the greatest of threats with a few well-placed bullets. So, do we know who all is going to be playing what?
I would very much like to play the Sniper. I think that sounds radical.
I've gone ahead and chosen the Medic.
I like the Heavy. I'm going to go with that.
All right. I'm going to be the Scout.
Perfect. So after you've chosen your playbook, you're going to choose a special ability. There are, I think, 7 or 8 special abilities, plus a few abilities that everyone has access to. If you have any questions, you can just take the first one on the list. But each of those special abilities will give you something that you can do that pushes you a little bit beyond what a normal member of your specialization might do. Do we want to talk about which ones you guys have selected?
Man, these are all very good. This is a hard choice. Because I really like one of the sniper options is called Sharpshooter, where you can push yourself to basically make a shot at an impossible range or unleash a barrage of shots to suppress an enemy. I like that a lot. Crimson Shot, you can bring 1 Crimson Seeker shell on missions. That's just a big nasty attack and you have to hurt yourself to do it. I think the one I'm going to go with, though, is the one at the top of the list. It's called One Eye. You've replaced an eye with an alchemical construct. You can see invisible targets clearly and identify supernatural forces.
Dude.
Wow.
Very cool.
As the Medic, I actually get 2 special abilities, one that's already selected for me, and then one that I get to pick. And the one that is selected is called Attaché. You may deploy on any mission, even outside the usual specialist caps. Gain this ability for free when you become a medic.
Yeah, so normally a mission must only have up to 2 specialists. So medics can break that rule and join any mission.
Gotcha. And then the one I actually picked is called Not Today. You can spend a doctor use on a legionnaire who has taken level 4 harm on a mission, but you must do so quickly before they die. You treat them and reduce the wound to level 3 harm instead.
I have also decided the first one for the Heavy is called Bulwark, which I can spend an anchor use, which is kind of my currency, as special armor against consequences to a squad you are defending. I see this guy as, very much a defender. He's he's your classic tank. So he's not necessarily wading into battle to kill a lot of things. He's, making sure to take the damage, take the hits, get the attention so that everybody else can do what they need to do.
And yeah, Jake's right. There's a lot of really good ones on here. For the Scout, I have Like the Wind. This is just a great description. Whenever there's a question of who goes first, the answer is you.
That's so good.
The one I'm going to go with is Sixth Sense. You just know when there are undead nearby. You always know what the highest threat level of undead is in the area, and you can gather info on them with Resolve. I like the idea of this Scout who has survived because she has this almost uncanny sense of, the dead are close. And that's why she's become a Scout, because she's not necessarily great at ranging ahead, but great at dodging between groups.
Oh, that's wonderful. Very cool. So after you've chosen your special ability, great job, all of you, you need to choose a heritage. Now, there are 4 heritages that comprise the armies of the Eastern Kingdoms, and particularly of the Legion. Those are the Barton, the Orites, the Panyar, and the Zemyati. Each of them have a slightly different flavor. The Bartons are close-knit and devout. Many wear jewelry made of tokens granted to them by family and friends that they've forged strong friendships with. Their culture is agrarian. It's ruled by council. The Orites are cosmopolitan and influential. Their country is known for its technology. They have advances in clockwork and alchemy that are almost as defining as their obsession with nobility and lineage. Almost everyone from Or is noble of some stripe. Panyar come from the deep forest, which was a forest which was touched by an ancient god. And everyone who spends enough time in that forest gains some sort of animal trait, such as cat eyes or noticeable fangs. Their culture focuses on great deeds, and they have a 3-part name, the third part of which is a part that they earn by doing some great deed. And then the Zemyati are mountain-dwelling clans with a complex arrangement of oaths between themselves, between inside of a clan, between each other clan, and of course between the Zemyati and the world. So that is the set of heritages, and you must pick one to become a member of.
So they've all got, like a few words, 4 words to kind of describe the general culture.
That's right.
I like the Zemyati, because it's tough, bold, loyal, and stubborn. And I'm imagining this kind of gunslinger, fears nothing kind of person. So I'm going to go with a Zemyati.
Excellent.
Nice.
And I'm going to go with, there's a list of names. So the way, at least for the Zemyati, there's a list of first names and then patronymics and matronymics. Do you pick a first name and add one of those endings to it, basically? Like you're the son of or the daughter of that first name?
Exactly.
Okay.
Canonically, what we do is if you are a gal, if you're a gal, you take your mother's name and you add a matronymic to it, and if you're a guy, you take your father's name, you add a patronymic to it.
Okay. So I'm going to go with Leovel-Kolevich.
I've decided to go with the Barton, and the actual traits for them are warm, pious, stoic, and educated. And I think a medic would be pretty well educated and have to be warm and pious to be sort of a medic. And the name I chose for my Barton, you get a name and then a family name. So it's Vani Pakshi.
For the heavy, I think I'm also going to go with Zemyati. Tough and stubborn are the only 2 that I think I need. And I have decided after hearing Jake's name that I like it a lot, so I am his brother.
Nice.
Wonderful.
Nice.
That's perfect.
So I will be Adramir Kalevich.
Fantastic.
That means we have to have the same accent.
It's true. I hope I get to talk first.
And I'm going to decide it. Yeah.
Now it's a race to talk first in character. And I'm going to go with Panyar, artisan, traveler, shrewd, marked. And as you'd mentioned before, they have the naming system of the color name, the mark name, and the deed name. So her name is Gray Shifting Wind.
Awesome. So Gray Shifting, and the heavy was
Adramir Kalevich.
And then the medic was
Vani, Vani.
And the other Kalevich is
Leovel.
Awesome. Wonderful. I just want to make notes so that I can refer to you by your names. After doing all of that, we assign action ratings. So this game has a series of actions that are broken up into 3 groups. So you have insight, prowess, and resolve are the groups. And inside of those, there are 4 different actions. You get to distribute a bunch of action points across those. It's 4 action points. Based on a special ability that Shreya starts with, you get 2 more.
Oh, nice.
And you can just assign those as you find appropriate for your particular playbook. Each of the actions covers a different thing that's on the character sheet. Is in the back sheet panel of the character sheet, you'll see a list of all of the actions and what they do, if there's any question.
Oh, so those are like the actions that anybody can take.
Yes, anyone can take any of these actions, and even your specialist action. There's an action that is unique to each playbook, but it's not super unique in that anyone can learn how to do it. It's just that specialists definitely do learn how to do it.
All right, so the sniper starts with 2 and shoot, and 2 is what you max at, right, when you create a character?
Yeah, you can't start with more than 2.
So he starts with 2 in shoot, 1 in scout, and 1 in aim. And I've got 6 more to spend, so I'm going to go ahead and put another 1 in aim to max that out for now. 1 in maneuver. I think I'll do 1 in consort, because that is like a drawing on your connections. That seems handy. 1 in skirmish, so I can fight hand to hand. Okay. 1 in research and 1 in rig to put together mechanical solutions and whatnot.
Cool. I'm going to, as the medic, put 1 into doctor because it only starts with 1. It already has research as 2, so I won't go any further into that. 1 into rig, 1 into scout, 1 into shoot, and 1 into skirmish. And then I get, because of my Barton heritage traits, I get +1 to consort. So I've got a consort of 2. And then I also put 1 into sway, just in case I need to talk somebody into giving me more medical supplies.
Actually, now that you've said that, we didn't really hit our traits, did we? We kind of talked about what they are generally for races, but we didn't talk about which ones we picked and what mechanical benefits they give us, right?
Yeah.
My Zemyati traits, I picked tough. I ignore level 1 harm penalties, and bold. I add 1 die to resist on desperate actions.
Nice. And for my Barton, I decided to go with warm, which means I get a +1 to consort, like I said. And then stoic, which means I get a +1d to prowess resist.
Okay, I'll real quick start with those traits. For Zemyati, I also actually took the tough, ignore level 1 harm penalties, and then stubborn, +1 die to resolve resist. And then for down the line on my actions here, I bumped up to 2 on anchor, which is my specialist action. I also took 1 in rig. I think he's pretty good with machines. I start with 2 to skirmish. I think that makes sense, being in the middle of the fray. And then 2 for wreck. I took 1 to consort. I think he's pretty good with his soldiers. You know, he's pretty amiable with everybody. And then I took 2 for marshal, because I think he's kind of calling the shots a little bit in the midst of the fray when he needs to.
And for my heritage, I took traveler. Fast and quiet in normal load, which is for the equipment, and then shrewd, +1 die to insight resist. And I actually, for my detail, I know that the Panyar marked by nature. You had talked about that a little bit. So she has cat eyes.
Oh, very cool.
And then for my ability points, what is the difference between discipline and martial?
So we have an informal saying around our table. You use martial to tell rookies what to do. You use disciplines to make them not do a thing.
Okay.
So if you want to make them attack, you use martial. If you want to make them not run away, that's going to be discipline.
Okay.
That's solid.
So I'm going to have 1 in discipline. I think that she is good in the field because, hey, be quiet. Hey, stay here. Hey, keeping people kind of in line. And then the one that I automatically get is 1 in scrounge. And so I've added another one to that. I put 1 in research. I have 2 in scout automatically. I have 1 in maneuver. I've added another one to that to have 2. 1 in shoot, 1 in skirmish, and then the one I had mentioned before in discipline.
Cool. So having done all that, the last bits are to just record your look and your details. And I know we are in the middle of a mission, so I kind of want to reveal those looks and sort of paint the picture of what does it look like when we see you come on screen. I'm gonna set it up just a little bit. The commanders issued the orders. The marshal has handpicked you specifically. The quartermaster has left the last of the alchemicals, and the army continues to march into the distance. On the horizon, the dust of the undead army heads this way. If they're to be slowed at all, you must destroy this bridge. Do not let anything stop you. So you can imagine this giant, almost Roman architecture bridge, if you will, with arches at every so many feet. Massive stone bridge going over a raging river, the Tigria, many, many feet below. It's because I prefer this more. We're going to make it a dark and stormy night. So it's maybe thundering out. There's a bit of rain. We see the legionnaires, the rookies of the squad rushing forward. We're going to say it's the Emberwolves. There are 6 different squads in the game. We're going to just pick one for you. It's going to be the Emberwolves are marching forward. Perhaps with them is our heavy.
So you see a tall, broad, dark-haired man. He's like the guy that plays the mountain level of bulk, you know, where it's not like refined muscle. Like this is a guy that is used to baling hay back on the farm, you know, just a brick of a dude, and just got that large furrowed brow, probably early wrinkles around his eyes from smiling and laughing with the troops.
Cool. So you're marching towards the center of the bridge, I imagine?
Yep.
And where is our sniper? I kind of want to know.
Yeah, so I think I'm on a hill kind of behind the lines overlooking everything, and you can't see much. He's prone and he's covered. He's wearing a very long, very dark blue coat and this dark kind of wide-brimmed hat. And you can see that he's got his alchemical eye. He's got a few tools on him. You know, he's wearing armor. He's got a throwing axe on him. But he is very low to the ground trying to stay hidden. And most of what you can see is either the reflection of the alchemical eye or the reflection of the scope. But it's kind of hard to tell which is which from here.
Cool. And how about our scout?
I think that the camera kind of pans over to the far end of the bridge as the group approaches. And, you know, I imagine there's debris and detritus everywhere. And then some of it shifts and she stands up and she has like a cape that is like old netting and it's got like copper pieces in it and just stuff to blend in with the junk that's around. And she's got short brown cropped hair and these cat eyes. And she has a hand axe hanging at her side, and she turns and starts sprinting across the bridge towards the approaching group of soldiers
to meet up. And then I imagine we see the medic. Is the medic with the soldiers as well?
Yeah, the medic would actually be in the middle, I think, of all of this. He's sort of a fighting medic, so he would have sort of this very colorful, almost red and blue layered dress clothes on, but they're covered in like battle garments and armor, and he's laden down with pouches and everything for all of his alchemical and medical needs.
Nice. So let's go back to the squad. So you're the medic is there. I think one of the rookies. We're gonna ask you to pick a name. Name me a rookie who is having perhaps a moment of doubt in this treacherous terrain.
I think it's clearly Graf Elric.
Graf Elric, yeah.
Yeah, that guy is always jittery.
Graf Elric probably turns to the medic and is like, do you think we're going to make it through this one?
Of course, everyone knows that Azrika is on our side. We're going to make it. You have nothing to fear.
He's hauling like a giant satchel full of explosives. And not very far in the distance, you see Blighter's troops. Have we described Blighter at all? I don't think we have.
No.
So let's talk a little bit about the Broken. Back in the day when you were fighting the undead, the chosen that were selected manifested. 9 chosen manifested all at once to deal with this undead threat, which is unheard of. Nobody had ever heard of 9 gods manifesting all at once. So obviously they were taking it somewhat seriously. They rode out to the west. This is far before Ettenmark. They rode out to the west, and they had a giant battle, and many of them, through a power we still don't understand, were broken, and they became themselves almost divinely powered undead. The Cinder King, who was at the charge of the army, it was rumored, said a word, and through this incomprehensible power, converted them. That was the first of the major defeats of humanity, the most recent being Ettenmark. When humanity leveled the new armies and crossed over to Ettenmark with Blackshot to fight again, they were not prepared for the horrors that the Broken had created. The Broken now advance eastward, fighting on several fronts to gain access to the large-scale bastion of humanity on the continent. Blighter was once Elenessa, a high priestess of the Orite triumvirate of crafter gods, the builder, the maker, and the crafter. When Shreya, who was then a famous Spartan warrior, won her favor during a knight's tournament, Their romance became the stuff of poems and song. The Cinder King rose in the west and began his march, and Alanessa was chosen by the crafter, whose worshippers practiced the great craft of alchemy. Once she was broken, the craft itself became tainted, and now its practitioners eventually corrupt and become monsters themselves. So it's a real problem now because making Blackshot requires alchemy, and people who do alchemy eventually become horrific monsters. And so this is sort of a real problem.
Wow, so the Cinder King has kind of solved his own problem by causing corruption in the people who can stop his legion.
Indeed, though there are always more people.
Well, that's true.
What about someone with an alchemical construct for an eye? Am I good?
The eye itself is not corrupting.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you're fine. The alchemical stuff that's been created, most of it is like really well-known processes are not necessarily intrinsically corrupting. It just depends on what you're doing. There is actually rules in the game for how that works. She lacks raw power, but Blighter substitutes a deadly intellect, a divine understanding of craft, and brutal cunning. Her full title is Flesh Blighter, also sometimes called the Foul, the Corrupter of Flesh, and Plaguebringer. The troops just tend to call her Blighter, and those are her troops right on the other side of the bridge. Well, coming down this way. I should describe some of them because they are truly horrific. Generally, you have, as her rank and file troops, you have rotters, who are just undead, burning with a hate for the living. They continue to rot even as whatever dark sorcery compels them into battle, forces them to keep going. To make them, corpses have alchemical fluids forced through their veins. So carts, you can sometimes find carts with canisters of these liquids. Blighter's always tinkering with plagues and toxins. Also, they are usually headed up by crows, who are they have plague doctor masks and they move incredibly silently. So as you're moving onto the bridge, you're taking up positions to potentially set your charges. This is probably going to be mostly the sniper. We'll see a black shadow drop from the rafters of one of these arches, directly behind the lastmost rookie, who I need another name. Who's the person who's always at the back?
That's Albin Albrecht.
Albin Albrecht. Awesome. Poor Albin is right there. The sniper sees this, of course. There's a crow that drops silently behind your rookies. What do you do?
How dangerous would the shot be? What are the odds that I accidentally hit one of my own people?
Well, so this is a good time to talk about position and effect. I'm really glad you asked that question. So we usually talk about position as a way of saying, well, what could happen as a result of this roll? Like, obviously you're thinking, I'm probably going to have to roll, I might have to roll a shoot action. What is that going to look like? Well, I think it's possible that you might hit him, right? You might, at this distance with the rain and whatnot, you might actually hit your friend, Albin. So I'd say it's risky. I don't think you're likely to have a fatal shot. Like, I don't think you're going to blow his head off or anything. But on a 1 to 3, you might shoot him instead of the crow, right? Because the crow's moving erratically. But I think on a 4 to 5, you might hit him, and you might hit the crow, right? And the crow might still have just enough momentum to maybe stab Albin. But on a 6, obviously, you do it. So this is a risky position, is what I'm saying. And we would say you have standard effect. In my mind, standard effect means if you shot him, he dies.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'll try to take the shot. I think I'm so caught off guard by one of them being behind the lines already. And, I'm afraid that if I call out or anything, it'll give away that we know they're here. I'm just going to take the shot and try and put this thing down.
Excellent. So that's a shoot action. Or you tell me formally, you say, like, I think it's a shoot action. I would agree with you. And then I set your effect based on that. How many dice do you roll when you roll a shoot action?
2.
Excellent. Do you want more dice?
I am open to the possibility. What do you got?
So let's talk about how you might get more dice. You can have someone assist you. For instance, the heavy, for instance, might be particularly watchful of the people in the back. Someone else in the group might find a way. The medic is very close, right? So maybe you could assist in some way. You can push yourself, which costs you. So both of these options will cost stress. If you assist someone, it costs you 1 stress. And if you push yourself, it costs you personally 2 stress. It's just who gets to spend the stress.
So can I ask this? When it comes to the narrative, I had described in the intro that I was running back across the bridge. Could it be that I broke cover because I saw it, and when I'm running across, I'm actually waving up to him and pointing so that his notice of it is a couple seconds faster than what we had initially described?
Yeah, no, you could certainly assist in that way too. Yeah, you had described yourself as being on the far side of the bridge. So yeah, you could absolutely flag them down.
Yeah, so that if I was going to assist, it would be seeing it up there and flagging up to the sniper, like, hey, look. So I get the sense of like the scope on her, and then he sees her pointing, and she, or he moves around to see what she's pointing at.
That's fantastic. Yeah, okay, spend a stress.
And so I add 1 die to my shoot roll?
That's right, so you'll roll 3 dice instead of 2.
And I spend a stress just by marking it.
Yes, that's right. You have a reservoir of stress. It's a fairly limited reservoir. It's, I think, 6 stress when you start out. There are special abilities that allow you to gain more stress. If you run over on stress, then you will, if you ever have to mark stress and can't, then you'll take a trauma. And that potentially could be the death of your character if you run out of
So can I ask another question? Actually, this is full of questions. So my special ability is Sixth Sense, that I'm always aware of an undead threat.
Ooh.
Is that a justification as to why it may not cause stress to assist, or does assist always cause stress?
An assist always causes stress, but I had forgotten you had that ability, so we can sort of flash back to you using that ability and like turning around.
Oh, okay.
We can put this into a different position. So let's do that. If you want, we can absolutely do that.
Okay.
Because I think it'll actually end up in a controlled position if you do this.
Oh, okay.
The way I think that power works is you roll your resolve dice, which is the number of skills that you have in resolve.
That would be 1.
So you're going to roll 1 die, and then there's no position here. This is a gather information. It's a 1 to 3, you get poor information. 4 to 5, you get good information. And on the 6, you get great information.
3.
So I think you were aware something was up.
Okay, that's
but
fair.
You weren't sure what direction it was coming from. So that's why you emerged. But then you turned around. You thought it might be the people in front of you, and then you turned around at the last second, and you still have the ability to assist.
Okay.
But it just wasn't. It wasn't early enough that we could consider it a different position.
Gotcha. So that stress then I'll spend to make him aware of it.
Yeah.
All right.
And then 3 die shoot. Risky position, standard effect.
My highest is a 5.
Okay, so you do it, and there's a consequence. I mentioned that there might be a consequence of like, maybe he has enough momentum to go forward and stab the guy anyway, but I actually prefer the idea that it startles the rookies, and that the rookies begin to scatter, because they don't know what's going on. Obviously, everyone has the ability to interact with this, and we can talk about resistances. So when you make a 4 to 5 or a 1 to 3, usually I'll inject some sort of consequence. In this case, because it's a risky roll, I inject a risky consequence, which is harm, a complication, reduced effect, or you might end up in a desperate position. I think in this case, I'm going to introduce a complication, and that complication is going to be the rookies are scattering, because they're being fired on. They don't really know what's going on. Now, anybody at the table can resist that. They can say, that doesn't happen because whatever. This is where you just say, no, I'm gonna say otherwise. It costs stress to do a resistance, but it's a variable amount of stress.
I think I can resist because I have discipline.
That's perfect. So the way it works, though, is we're going to say it's a resolve resist. You're just like, keep them in line. All you have to do is roll the number of resolve dice you have.
Oh, then that would be 3.
Okay. And what you're going to do is you're going to take 6 and subtract your highest die, and that is how much stress it's going to cost.
1. It's going to cost me 1 stress because my highest was a 5.
Cool. And let's describe that. How do you wrangle these people?
I yell up to the crowd, "Do not forget that Azrika is on our side. Please, all stay in line. Form the lines."
Excellent. And they listen to you. Very, very good. Cool. So that happens. What's going on with our scout up front?
I think that having seen the shot fired and hearing the commotion, I'm turning back across the bridge to see if I can see anything approaching now that we have just kind of made ourselves known. We thought we were sneaking up here good, but there's been a gunshot, there's some screaming, and then there's someone shouting down the screaming.
Yeah.
So cover is effectively blown.
It is. You are like looking around and you immediately see that there are undead hands on the ledges of the bridge and they're pulling themselves up right now. What do you do?
I think that she sees this and has a moment of panic. She's kind of prides herself on sensing undead, and just this initial phase of like, oh, they're nowhere. Oh, they're everywhere. Oh, it's just behind us. Oh God, they're beside us now.
I think it's a true Aliens moment where it's like, that's impossible. That's inside the room.
Yes, exactly. And so I think that she sprints across to the group and starts signaling to Adramir, hands, they're on the sides, they're coming over.
Awesome. So you warn the group. The undead are beginning to climb up.
I think the first thing that I want to be doing is yelling to organize the troops, like, hands on the sides, boys, form ranks, rank up, and just trying to get them ready for this while I'm hauling butt to the front with my fine wrecking kit.
Excellent. Cool. So you're going to pull out like a giant sledgehammer, essentially?
Pretty much, yeah.
And maybe a couple of charges?
Exactly.
Awesome. You also, narratively, you have some extra stuff for, like, you have the actual alchemicals that need to be planted in the right place, but the wrecking kit will help you. But yeah, cool. So you start organizing them. That kind of feels like it could be, potentially, depending on what you're doing, it could be a martial action. Is that?
Yeah, I want to get them ready to hit this threat that has kind of surprised us.
Excellent. So you're basically, I imagine, like, we see the group, and as you're shouting the orders, you're like, the rookies are lining up into maybe a circle on both sides.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. So that's a martial roll, and I think based on the resistance that happened before, you're fairly controlled. The consequence here is you might end up in a risky position, but that's a controlled position right now.
Okay, I'm going to try it. The highest is a 5.
Okay, you hesitate. You can either withdraw and try a different approach, or you can press forward. You might end up in a risky position. You could do it with a minor consequence. I think the consequence is, if you want to actually organize the rookies, you have to be in the center. You can't be on the edges engaging with the undead that are coming. You have to organize them.
Yeah, I'll take that for sure.
Are you cool with that?
Yeah, my first priority is keeping them safe in this moment.
Awesome. Cool. So there's this awesome scene where we see like a top-down view, and you're like pointing at a group, and like 3 rookies go that way, 2 rookies go the other way. What's the medic doing in all this? Are you falling in with the rookies?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on the outside edges with them, shooting at the undead, and if anybody gets hurt, then I'm gonna go into action.
So it sounds like the rookies are gonna fire on the undead. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So that's a shoot action. Now the rookies, we can roll a fortune roll if we're only looking at the rookies versus the undead. But if someone wants to take charge of the rookies, we can make that roll, or we can do a group shoot depending on how things want to go. Like if the sniper wants to get involved, you can group shoot where the rookies are participating, and also so is the sniper. How do you guys want to do this?
What do y'all think?
I mean, I kind of like the thought of that even you being further away or kind of leading the target shooting. Like,
that's what I was going to say. I'm like designating, like, I'll fire a shot at one in a group to draw attention to that group and kind of designate it for the rookies. And then I can readdress and fire a shot into another group to designate it.
Yeah, I think me from the middle, like, we're practiced at this so that, you get the bird's eye view and I'm pointing out where those shots are hitting. So we're kind of tag teaming it that way.
Yeah, and that's why they jumped so much at the beginning, is that they're not used to you taking a shot unless it is indicating where they should all be shooting, and then you shot behind them.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So who all is participating in that group action? Obviously the sniper, obviously the rookies.
I guess I'll have to if I'm in the middle of them as well.
Yeah, I think I as well. I think that what she does is once she gets back to the group, I imagine this half circle and that she is behind Adramir, intentionally shooting at whatever the group isn't focused on, like someone who takes out the straggler that nobody's paying attention to.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I think, so here's the good news. The good news is you're effectively all going to roll independent actions where you roll shoot, but we're going to take the highest results for the group across any given die roll. The bad news is that anyone who rolls below a 4, if you roll a 1 to 3, that will cause the person who's leading the action to take a stress. So your sniper might get very stressed in this moment. But we'll just see how you roll, right? If you roll forward, it's fine.
And what if I have nothing in shoot?
The question is whether you're participating in this group action, and the answer is probably not.
Probably not. I think I'm being more directional about it than actually partaking of the shooting. So yeah, that makes sense.
Now the rookies can roll a die because the rookies always get a die as a group, and you can roll that die if you'd like.
Oh, I see.
You could roll for the rookies, in other words.
What do you guys think? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to do it.
Bam, 6.
Awesome. So you do it. That's the good news. We should have set a position, but I was feeling it was sort of risky. I think that was, you should always assume that if I don't say a position, it's probably risky and standard effect. But yeah, so you've got a 6. Were there any lower than 4s?
Yes, the rookies rolled a 3.
No.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
I blame them.
So I think that means the sniper takes 1 stress.
Okay.
Who is marshaling those rookies?
No, you're doing a great job. It's just, unfortunately, a really difficult thing because you're being set upon by all sides. It's dark, it's raining, you're having to shout over the thunder. It's very dramatic. And the shots are ringing out, but like you have to actually tell the rookies where are they, like where the shots are going, because with the sound of the thunder, it's sort of like echoey. So you're just having to do a lot of work.
Can I pay you to cheerlead over all of my failed rolls? Because you are really good at this.
There's a particular GMing advice that we give, which is to be a fan of the players and to like always, when something goes wrong, it's not because you're incompetent. It's because something bad happened or something you're trying to compensate for something. So it's just part of the game.
I dig it.
Yeah. So cool. So I think you guys put down maybe a good dozen of these rotters that came up over the sides, and you have a few minutes to breathe while the main undead force are coming your way. And in that distance, it's not very far, you can see shambling horrors, which are freakish amalgamations of parts of different people that have all been stitched together into towering beasts of festering anger. They're 8 to 14 foot tall giants that only fall to concentrated fire or heavy weaponry.
Whoa!
Blackshot won't even kill them outright like they would line troop.
Oh.
Many are augmented with metal or machined parts or armor screwed directly into their flesh. Some have multiple bodies that have been stitched together, and they all fight as if they were a full group of people. So these horrors are shambling towards you, along with, of course, more crows and more rotters, and you are under pressure from that. What do you do?
Adramir, if you could set those charges quickly.
All right, kiddos, hold them off.
Is there any way for me to help him with rigging up this stuff since I have rig?
Absolutely. That's exactly the case. So you're probably going to need to rig some alchemy.
Okay, I'm going to do just that.
Okay, so we set a position. Right now, your first charge has to go up here on the bridge. So you need at least one charge sort of center in the bridge. And that's a fairly controlled position because you've killed all the zombies, you've killed all the crows that are around. So you have, for a moment, you have that. But I will tell you, you're going to need to get under this bridge and set charges underneath.
I love this game already. It's making me anxious, but in a fun way.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to try to set my first one center. 1.
Well, you get an extra die because I'm helping you out, too.
Oh, that's true. I didn't do that. That's true.
Oh, yeah. You get an assist to that, spend a stress for that.
2!
Okay, so something goes wrong. Controlled. You're going to end up in a risky position. There are 3 bombs There are 2 triggers.
Oh.
You're going to need to set one of them off manually. That is your situation.
Okay, I think that I realize that, and I don't tell them.
Fantastic. Yeah, cool. So you've set up a bomb right here in the spot that you're supposed to, and you know that there's only a couple ways you could possibly detonate this, and none of them are great. So you're just going to have to make a risky roll later.
Okay, yep. So I do that and grit my teeth and start looking for my best path I have to get kind of underneath now, right?
Yeah, someone's got to. Are you the best rig, by the way?
I don't think any of us have more than one.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
Yeah, I've got one at least.
I also have one.
I don't have any.
Yeah. So, your facilities for getting dice are, you can gain a bonus die from assists, which, good job. We just saw that. You can gain a bonus die from pushing yourself, which costs you stress. So, you can also gain a bonus die from a devil's bargain, which I don't know if we've talked about. But a devil's bargain is where I tell you something terrible and you say yes. That's totally true. And if you say yes, then you get a die for free. Well, for free.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll make use of that. If you feel like you want maybe more dice, please ask for a devil's bargain. I'll come up with one. But yeah.
Love that.
Someone is going to have to go underneath and set a charge. Who's that person going to be? Who's in charge of this whole outfit, by the way?
I feel like either me or my brother. Like, I feel like either the heavy, who's kind of the frontline person, or me, who is kind of the Overwatch person, would be the one calling shots.
And I assume...
or the scout, who's kind of the first eyes on things.
Yeah, because I think that really affects how the scene plays out. Like, if it's the sniper, then of course things are going haywire, but he can't help because he's too far away.
Yeah. I would say me, because I intend to move up now. Like, I know I'm too far away. So I think we could say that I'm kind of supposed to be the shot caller, and I'm just like, damn it, I am way too far out of range for this. And I'm like grabbing the gun and running down this hill to move up on the bridge.
Yeah, I agree with all of that.
I want to push forward to the moment where the 2 brothers are together.
Okay.
And LeBoeuf,
yes,
you get up to Adramir, and Adramir has just finished setting up the bomb. I wonder if LeBoeuf might be able to read the body language of Adramir.
Is that just a decision I make right now, or is that something we're going to roll somehow?
I'm going to ask Adramir, do you think that your brother could maybe read the fact that there's something wrong?
I don't think that Adramir is particularly clever in anything except for boots on the ground battle happening.
Okay.
So there's a pretty good chance that he can see that I am antsy about something.
Something is wrong. So why don't we do this? Can you give me a consort fortune roll? What that means is there's no position or effect. We just roll your consort dice and you give me the highest die.
Okay, I only have 1 in consort.
It's totally fine. On a 1 to 3, I think you get a sense something is wrong, but on a 6, you maybe actually know what's wrong.
Okay. 6?
Yeah, I think you see the bomb and it's missing a detonator.
Clear indication of a problem.
Yeah. You seem to be light on resources.
I got all the resource I need, little brother, and I clink my breastplate, get somebody downstairs, and get this thing lit up.
Like hell, you command the troops. You go set the rest of the charges. I'm going to get up in the rafters right here, watch the other end of the bridge, call shots, and if it gets down to it, I got a clear shot on this charge. That is an order.
Hoo boy, and I turn and go.
Okay, excellent. Our first command. LeBoeuf has taken charge of the 3rd explosion. Who is going down to set the charge?
I will.
Excellent. How good are you on a rope?
Yeah, I think I'm sort of leading the way, but with the intent of keeping me and the soldiers between whoever's setting this and resistance.
I think you're saying you're going to set up a forward position on the sort of the edge of the bridge.
Exactly.
And then hopefully it doesn't come to that, but you might have to hold off the undead while they set the charges.
Right.
Awesome. So Medic, like I said, how good are you on a rope?
I'm great on a rope. I've got at least 1 maneuver, so I assume I'm okay.
Yeah. That sounds good. I mean, you have a rope. How are we doing this? Do you have like a climbing kit or?
I think that as he is standing there, like peering over the edge, kind of like, that gray shifting wind comes over and sets up her climbing kit and is going to like basically lower down with him because
Nice.
I think that they've been together enough to know that he is very good with his hands, but maybe not so much with his hands and feet at the same time.
That's fantastic. Okay. So I think you could do potentially a group maneuver where someone is leading. I think it sounds like you're offering to lead Scout.
Yeah, maneuver is one of the things that she is very good at.
So then this is actually exactly what group actions are for. So when you have someone who's good at a thing and someone who's less good at a thing, and the first person wants to help the second person do the thing, that's exactly what this is for. So
Okay.
Both of you roll your action. It is like I said, risky, standard.
I got a 6.
I got a 1.
So it's a little stressful for you because I think there's a moment where climbing down and like a brick gives out and you slip and you have to catch your friend and hoist them back up onto the facade as you scale down.
Okay.
So you get down there. I'm going to cut back to the bridge. So Sniper and Heavy, you guys are up on the bridge. The undead are rolling in. I'm assuming you're firing at them.
I was hoping to climb up into the rafters. I saw a crow drop from the rafters. Could I make my way up there so I've got a better vantage point?
Completely. I think you have plenty of time to do that, so I don't feel like that's a roll.
Okay.
But you can easily clamber up there and you have elevation essentially on the horrors that are coming your way.
Then yes, I'm absolutely trying to pick them off.
Cool. So there's this one very large, obvious target, the horror itself. And then there's a bunch of rotters that are also there. There's also crows that are interspersed throughout. Who are you picking off?
And you said we know that Black Shot won't even take out the big, terrifying monsters, right?
It does hurt them more than regular shot.
I think I would probably be focusing down on that then.
Okay.
Let the ground troops deal with the smaller kind of mobs as they roll in, and I'm just going to try and at least weaken the huge things before they can get close enough to start smashing up my people.
Excellent. I imagine there's a scene where like we see through your sight for a bit and you track across these many undead, and then we zoom up into what is essentially several undead that have been stitched together, and then you take the shot.
And do I mark a black shot?
Yes.
For this if I'm... Okay. Should I have marked an ammo for the first shot on the crow?
Indeed.
Okay.
Basically, each time you roll your shoot action, mark something.
Okay. All right. I have 2 dice.
Would you like more?
Is there a devil's bargain?
Yeah, totally. I think there could be a devil's bargain. Do you guys have other ideas for devil's bargains?
I think Tess is probably going to say what I'm thinking.
I'm thinking that shot pisses it off a whole bunch, and there's a pretty good chance that if it gets hurt that bad, it's going to really charge at the front line.
Oh, okay. That it goes like hauling in. Okay. Yeah, I'd be okay with that.
I don't think I will accept that because my whole goal here is to hurt it before it gets to my troops. So I definitely don't want to piss it off so much that it steamrolls them.
We could do something very mundane, like you get one shot and your gun jams.
The face that he sees stitched to the body is their father.
Oh my
like
God.
both brothers, it is one of their family members in this body.
Ooh, I do like that. I would do that one for sure. Your poor family is now the thing you're firing at.
Jake,
yes.
look at me in this moment.
I will take that one.
Okay.
And I think it's really hard, but I don't want my brother to see it. So
I need a name.
For our father?
Yes.
Well, isn't it
Oh yeah, it would be
Cole.
Cole. Yeah, your father Cole is the thing that you're firing at.
Yeah, and I think seeing that though, like it is hard to not weep and or throw up, but I aim for that face so that when it gets closer, Adramir doesn't have to see it and doesn't have to suffer this.
Okay. Normally I would say that a roll like this is controlled. And I think that's appropriate here. You're firing at range. It doesn't really have any interactions with you guys right now. Right now, you're in a controlled position. I think you have standard effect. We'll see what you roll.
Okay. 4.
Okay. So you hesitate. You can either withdraw and try a different approach or do it with a minor consequence. I think the minor consequence is going to be a form of lesser harm. I'm going to say you can take lesser harm, nightmares.
Oh.
This is going to affect you later, but you're tough, right?
Yeah, I will absolutely do that. Do I just make a note of that?
It's in your character sheet on the left panel in the middle. There's a harm track. Under level 1 harm, just put in nightmares.
Okay. One of my Zimyati traits, though, is ignore level 1 harm penalties.
Yeah, so you're not penalized from it, but it's still there.
Got it.
You're tough. You can tough through it. It's not going to affect you. But that doesn't mean it's not there.
You're still having the nightmares. They're just not affecting you and your tasks.
Got it. Okay.
That's superb.
So you got a 45. So I actually have a clock here that represents the horror. The way that sometimes we work obstacles like blowing up a bridge or dealing with something that's like a horror is you create a clock, and then this clock has a certain number of segments. In this case, your horror has 8 segments. You have just done 2 to the horror, having shot Cole through the head and like a flash of green fire burning the last visage of your family, perhaps patriarch. But the horror is made of many of these bodies, possibly other friends and family that you know or knew, and is going to continue to shamble forward and engage. And I'm going to cut back to under the bridge. So there you are, hanging from a rope with your scout, like giving you a push towards the center of the bridge, trying to set him an explosive.
Okay, then I guess I'm going to rig it up and hopefully not mess up.
I feel like this may not be the most controlled of positions. How do you feel?
I'd probably agree with you on that, considering I'm unbalanced. I've only got like 1 maneuver, so yeah.
Okay, so this feels like risky, right?
Sure.
If you wanted to, you could push it to desperate, but I think that's going to be maybe not necessarily what you want to do. So in this game, you can trade your position sometimes for effect. So sometimes you could say, I'm willing to be less effective in this situation so that I'm not as hurt or not endangered. You can say, I want to have greater effect. Can I trade some of my position? Can I go desperate in order to like get more effect? And sometimes that works out. In this case, I don't know if you'd want to.
No, I don't think I'd want to, but is there a way for me to push myself?
Absolutely. So you can spend 2 stress in order to push yourself and gain an extra die.
Because this seems pretty stressful just on its own, and I have to like work through it and get it done because my hands are what are going to end up basically saving the lives of everybody up top. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm the medic.
How medical.
Yeah.
My assumption is that he rolls all 1s and the camera just cuts to gray shifting wind and there's the sound of an explosion and then splatter on her face and then the Curb Your Enthusiasm music.
I got a 5.
So you do it and there's a consequence. I think what happens is you latch on to the place where the bomb has to be and you have to like go around one of the pillars that's in there. And we cut away from seeing you set up the bomb. And there's a bit where the rope is like caught on the rocks. And as you're pulling, eventually the rope just snags on a sharp bit of rock and cuts. So you stuck the bomb, you're there, you're on the pillar, no rope.
The Legion is in retreat following a failed battle against the armies of the undead. You are a member of the Legion, your bonds to one another forged in the dark by bone and blood. Do you have what it takes to outwit, outrun, and outlast the endless hordes of the undead? Or will your band of blades break beneath the Cinder King's iron fist? Band of Blades by Stras, Acimovic, and John LeBoeuf-Little is available at evilhat.com.